Day 60. We are running. We're gonna get that book out. We're gonna try and get to the end. We're gonna try and get into the antechamber because we have guaranteed access down. That's the plan. So we'll get Nook as soon as we can to get that first book out. Oh, and we need to try and do the vault run, the vault bookshop run, and try and get that other book so we can understand the sanctum down at the bottom. Oh. Am I gonna... I'm gonna do it immediately. Maybe that was really silly. No, I find so many gems. I find so many gems. We'll do Nook into library. There's gonna be nothing in there. He's always... Yeah, he is always in the vault. Okay. Yes! I spoke it into existence. Library. Turns down. That's fine. Okay, let's look at this rune book. So, the one the room we picked had like a mountainous shape in it. So they have the core, dividing lines, moats, and border. The core. Arc Aries. Oh. These are the different lands. In my head, I could only remember Arinda and Araja. It's a unique shelf different for each realm. If the core gives us the name, then the rest of the sigil tells us the history behind the name. It is important to be able to identify and distinguish the core as a first step. Yep, that's fine. I'm getting my pen ready. I'm going to write this down. It feels... Oh, also, oh my god, I just saw this thing I got the picture of. That's the security room, I think. Let me look at that. So, the one we have unlocked is Arch Aries. There's also Orinda. Diamond shape. Pentagon. Fen. Hourglass is a Raja. And the heart kind of thing is Korarika. The rays. Spouting from each core come the dividing lines. One sigil to another. I forgot about these actually. They're the... Yeah, so it was the car, the plane and stuff, wasn't it? Naval. Road streets. God, I don't know. How am I supposed to remember this? Aviation. Driggles. The weather. I remember the weather. Foggy, straight, heat, rainy. Moats. Tribal, agricultural, martial, metropolitan, academic, industrial, spiritual, poetic. And then the borders of the colours. So Fen is 4 lines out. It's foggy weather. It's martial. And it's got the red banner. Okay. There's my writing for Fen. Does it have any others? No. Where do you find the other ones? Because the one we also saw in the ripped up book down by the chess game was this one too. It was also Fen Aries, where he'd written it in the notes. And I don't think I've ever seen any others. I wish I opened the Fen door. Okay. Do we have that? And I can just copy the... Oh, of course. Oh, of course. I can just write down the thingies. I don't really need to remember what they mean. I hope anyway. Okay, we take bookshop and we buy the new book. Incredible stuff. Oh, no, it's this one. Curse of the Black Bridge. Then, the only... Of course, you're bloody one of them. The only other... Although this turns those doors off as well, doesn't it? No? Why aren't my puppies barking? Do the puppies not work in here? We just need to find the all Stinky Minky, what's it called? The lever. If we can find the lever and get up to the bottom door, we're set. Otherwise, we just have to keep playing until we find that. I don't need to buy anything. Was that free? Oh no, it was an 8. Okay, well, we're stuck. We start the day off immediately with the reading nook. Immediately. It's huge. It's amazing. It's so impressive. Let's have a read. Oh. It's not there. I forgot. I need to get it out. First edition. Okay. Then we do another run after this. We've got security. Let's see if those screens are... Oh. Do we think? Actually, no, they... It is. It's these ones in the middle. And then... The third one across is archives. A. Wait. Do we think it's the name of each thing? So that's spare bedroom. So it's S or B. The next one is walk-in closet. Oh no. Possibly C. Or it might be W. Then that's nook. Reading nook, but it's originally nook, right? So then it'd be scan. That has to be right. Storeroom. S. What's that? Office. O. Nursery. Gallery. Scans. Oh, swan song maybe. Walk-in closet. Swan song. That's the password from the thingy. Hallway. Security showroom. Swan song HSS. Harold Sinclair. Huh? Delete it. Security showroom. That's showroom, isn't it? HSS. Harold. What's his name? Is his name Harold? Was he called Harold? What, Harold Shipman? What was his name? I don't think it was it? Something Sinclair. I never wrote it down anywhere. Herbert. Herbert. It was a H. Herbert something Sinclair. Swan Song HSS. Delete it. Or maybe it's clicking on them? What? Do I type that into the computer? Swan Song HSS? Delete it. Huh? Log in. Swan Song HSS. HSS. Extra. Oh my god. What is this? Home security surveillance. No way. Okay. Security footage, library entrance. Ooh, cutscenes. Oh my god. Okay. I don't know where this even is. The library, I guess, yeah. Oh, obviously, I clicked on the library one. Is that her? Is that a lady or is that a child? Is that Mary? Marigold? Marion? So what was her name? Okay, well I learnt nothing from that. This is so interesting. I mean, we're gonna have to sit and watch them all. I can't not. So then this is an hour later. Was it the same day? I didn't read. Come on, stick the tape in. Someone's got a new pot. Lovely. Oh, maybe an urn? Possibly, actually. Maybe not a pot. Is he gonna put it somewhere? I doubt I'll be able to see. Maybe I can click on that if I see it in that room. Maybe it's on the side table. Little pot. Let me look at what the days are when I click on these. This is a lot of footage to watch. My goodness. It is all the second. Okay, then this is the next day in here. Doesn't half take a second for them to load this footage up, does it? Oh, that's definitely a lady. With a book? What's on the book? Or just sheets of paper? That must be Mary. Slash Marion. Oh. What is that? Huh? What is it? I've never seen anything like that. Girly pop, I don't know what I'm looking at. Part of a map? It didn't even look like anything. It didn't look like a vase or like a boot. It's just weird. So that's 1987. 1988. What year am I in? Footage not found for 1988. Footage not found for 89. Okay, well this is going a lot quicker than expected. 91, nothing. Oh, because he deleted the tapes. Delete it. Do you think if you go... Oh my god, rumpus rooms. Why don't these have exact days? 1993, 6 of... Okay, hold on. Have I ever written the year down anywhere? What year we're in at the moment? Oh! What's going on? What? Is this the credits? Huh? Okay, there's Herbert. Oh, this is the... Huh? This is the intro. What? I give and bequeath to my grandnephew, Simon P. Jones, son of my dear niece, Mary Matthew. Yeah, she is my mom. It's actually good. I found it, mate. I've never written the year down. That's what I'm looking for. in my notebook right now. A timely manner. It's taken me 2 months. So this is 1993. Okay. Okay. So blueprints. This is just the introduction. I'm confused why this is on the security footage, but sure. That's fine, I guess. Take me back to the computer and let me click on those rumpus room ones. Come on. What's happening? Why are we stuck in a black screen? Game. Game? Oh, to skip. Come on, let me in. Okay. Interesting. So on the 3rd of November, that was uploaded. How was that? What? Okay, whatever. This is my cutscene. Oh, so these are all the cutscenes I've seen. Okay, I understand. I understand. Hold escape to click. And then these are all my rumpus rooms. But then what? How can there be 1994? Okay, footage not found. Interesting. So the only useful stuff is 1993 is now. And her holding that up. The two people got a book out. Then he walked in with a pot, and then she held up that weird picture. Okay. Interesting. It's a new day. Let me look for that pot in here, actually. Oh, this? No? You think this was what it was? This looks like the thing. It looked like an urn like that, didn't it? You can't click on it in any way. Or the other one. Very peculiar. I have no idea. And there's nothing over here, because he walked... The security camera was, like, up there. Or, like, over there. And he went this way. But this is just the clock. There's nothing secret I can... Like, a button here. No? And he definitely didn't come over to this side of the room. We would have seen him, because he walked past the table this way. Oh, I don't know. We've got Nook, which means we have library. Which means we get to read the unedited book. Let's go. Let me at it. Let me see it. And the useless treasure map. Okay. First edition. Orinda was the ones used to designate the realm. We must not let the flame of our history dwindle in the obscurity of whispered conversations, nor permit our leaders to enjoin us to abandon the name of our land. We must keep alive the embers of our past and preserve them for generations yet to come. Okay. The term is no longer employed in the halls of politics, nor commonly known to the average citizen. Its memory flickers in the hearts of those who hail from the lands. Okay. Ajira. Is that the one that's called Araja? That's not one that's on the list I've written down. Most historians mark the beginning of the first era as Ajira, but the ascension of the first king, whose name Oris would later grace the burgeoning township in which he was crowned. Oris was known before his coronation as a prominent merchant lord of considerable means and affluence, whose sway in the region made him the ideal candidate for unification of the surrounding provinces. History is not always forthcoming, and the surviving records of those bygone days are most likely limited to trade agreements and sales receipts. Nevertheless, we can deduce from these ledgers that Oris had but one aim: expansion. The territory spread forth from the heart of Oris, and by the end of the 1st century, the black banners of Orinda could be seen fluttering in every hamlet and hostelry, along every thoroughfare from Oris all the way to the western banks. A new kingdom was born. Second era. Okay, that's a Raja there. It was the 4th king who split into 3 shares: Orinda Ares, Arc Ares, and Araja. The eldest, he granted fields and mountains. Angelic paragon of royalty, Orinda. The youngest, he bestowed Arch, that's the one I have unlocked, wild, untamed expanse, which at the time was not developed, but a good deal more vast. To the middle, his only daughter he gifted a Raja, the mystical realm of their ancestors, a land steeped in tradition, magic, and the poetry of old tongue. In the third era, the three sovereign realms had achieved a period of remarkable progress and prosperity. Each of these distinct regions, ruled by the respective sibling monarchs, had blossomed. Okay, despite the differences, the sibling monarchs managed to maintain friendly relations throughout their lives and were known for their cooperation in matters of trade and transportation. Succeeding generations of their heirs continued that tradition, and the third era is defined by the construction of a vast network of railways that span the length and breadth of the land, linking the northern mountains of Arc Ares to the southern shores of Araja. Okay. Arc, Orinda, Araja. The development facilitated travel and commerce between the three realms, further strengthening their bond. I want to try and see if there's something about like the weather in each one. As the kingdom of Orinda, Ares entered the fourth era, a different kind of ruler took the reins of power. King Desiletes III was a king who listened to the voices of all his subjects, from the most influential advisors to the humblest. He was a king who often was seen among the people, eating, drinking, and conversing, a sight that shocked not only the gentry and the court, but the masses as well, who would scarce believe that they, as peasantry, would ever sup with the crown. Desiletes was renowned as the king of the people, and was therefore a surprise to no one when he made the decision to move the capital from the secluded mountains of Reddington to the public stages of Auris. So this is where the kingdom was, this building, leaving the castle and court behind. The people were overjoyed by this choice, and the city welcomed their king with open arms and great fanfare, yet not all was swayed so easily. There were those that viewed the king's conduct to be unbecoming of his station, and were wary of how readily he could be persuaded by the tears and tales of the common folk. These dissenting voices planted the seeds of discontent, which took root in the lawns of the garden of the nobles of Fen, or, as I have been instructed to say, the grand city of Fen. Era of ruin. After the passing of King Desiletes III, the fourth era came to an abrupt end. Thankfully, the king died naturally in his own age and was surrounded by his people in Auris, far away from the growing unrest in Fen. On the next day, the 6th of October, the self-proclaimed Prince Leeson of Fen declared himself the true monarch. This declaration was bolstered by a surprising number of supporters. There's something about this, the fact that it's Blue Prince and Red Prince, like, we're actually the heir of everything, and that's why my mum has run away. She said she's like claiming her birthright, right? As the prospect of civil war seems inevitable, the realm's regiments were hastily recalled from the frontiers to stamp out and put an end to the Fensurrection. However, instead of restoring order, what ensued was a savage, merciless campaign against their own people. The gardens of Fen, once a centre of splendour, were transformed into a battlefield. The pacification. So it's, I mean, I'm guessing it's going to be foggy in Fen, no? Oh, it is foggy in Fen. That Fen's the one I've got. The military, the crossroads, and the red. The brutality of the pacification of Fen did not go unnoticed by neighbours. Their sympathy for the city surged, allies came forward to lend support. Among them was the general of the Northern Regiment, who, sickened by the barbaric actions of the other battalions, joined forces with Prince Leeson to form a formidable army. Together they leveraged their political influence and favours to persuade the nearby realms of Arc and Nuance. Who's Nuance? However, even with the tide turning in their favour, the victory did not come easy. The War of the Fifth Era lasted 22 years and saw buried 1 in every 3 men. Prince Leeson himself added another number of casualties. However, even in death he had won. Auris had fallen, and with it the realm. The black flag that had flown for 5 eras were burned, and in their place red banners were hoisted the fallen of Fen. The few remaining members of the former royal family fled for their lives to the south, forever exiled. Okay. Today the realms inherited by the three, Fen, Arc, and Araja, once again stand united as allies. Though the distance between our people has grown, our connection to this land remains as strong as ever. The spruce and birch that spawn across our realm serve as a constant reminder that we all share a common past. Those trees continue to grow, so do our hopes for a common future. Future where we are not defined by the colours of the banners we raise, but by that which connect us, a land that we all call home. For this is, despite everything, a land rich in history, a land of myth and wonder, a land that sprung forth the greatest empire the world has ever seen, the land of our fathers, of our mothers, and our children. This land, after all that has happened, still Orinda. So it says here the black flags that had flown for 5 eras were burnt. So are they all, is Ark, Arinda and Araja all black flags? Do they all have black? There's nothing else really about like weather or anything on these individual ones. They're southern, so maybe it's sunny. Tradition, magic and poetry. This is just wild, untamed expanse that was not developed. It doesn't really give me any hints towards what, other than black flags and Fen being the red ones. I might put on Arinda black question mark. That didn't give me as many answers as I was really hoping for, but I mean, it is what it is. I've just gotten Vault, which means, and I unlocked Bookshop, so I can afford the last book. I can afford that last cursed book, which is kind of huge. So let's go buy that now. Unfortunately, I made a silly mistake in that I took out the other the rune book because I was like, oh, I'll need to look at that again. So it means I'm gonna have to do double run. But I have all the books now, which is huge. So I'll have to do 2 runs. One where the new book comes, then get this one out, and then we can read that one. Reading nook, into library. We can now read. This is the last book. There better be something good in there. There better be something good in this. Forward. The legend of the Black Bridge is one that's well known to the people of the Grand Realm. The versions of this tale have been passed down from generation to generation. With each new telling, the story has changed, becoming over the years more colourful, more verbose, and as one might expect, increasingly horrifying. However, with so many renditions and unique personal touches, the task of confining and binding this tale to text seemed as ambitious and impossible challenge. Over the course of my research, I have heard dozens of variations of the legend, and while the details would often change, I was surprised how much of the story's heart remained the same. Yet the more I listened, the clearer it became that there could never be a definitive version of this tale, capable of capturing all the wonder and myth of Black Bridge. In the end, I chose to write down what felt most authentic, the story my grandmother told me, as a boy, long ago. The berry picker from Oris. Many years ago, before peace had become a familiar word, there lived a group of rogues so wayward that the locals deemed it appropriate to call their number the Unholy Hounds. They were feral outlaws composed of society's worst in a time when society was at its worst, and for each crime that fearful travellers credited to the group, a dozen more lay unclaimed, each worse than the last. For the gentry, however, who often value their coffers more than their companions, no crime could measure more wicked than the group's primary enterprise, high road robbery. One such member of this so-called band of rogues was a boy of 13 years, Jesper, who had not been lucky in life, having lost 2 brothers to war and parents to famine. In years of hunger that followed, Jesper lived in a gutter behind a churchyard, relying on the nourishment of scurrying bugs and weeds harvested from the cracks of the alleyway to sustain his pitiful existence. It is not surprising that a child aiming to escape such hardships would take an easy road out. An easy and well-travelled road, paved with temptations, leading out of the city and into the gentry lands where loose purse strings entwine with the strands of salvation and glisten equally with the hope of opportunity. It was this road that eventually led Jesper to the end of his youth, a hidden cave at the bottom of Blackbridge Canyon. It was here that he met his surrogate family and saviors, the notorious gang of godless outlaws known as the Unholy Hounds. Despite the hardened circumstances that had led him to this vocation of banditry, Jesper was surprisingly tender-hearted and was often teased by the group for being too kind for such an ignoble life. For this reason, Jesper was assigned the innocent role of berry picker. It was not just innocence that set berry picking apart from the gang's more wicked undertakings, for it was the only duty performed without the safety of night's concealment. Jesper, no stranger to solitude, did not protest that he alone worked while the others slept soundly, tucked away in the cave at the bottom of Blackbridge Canyon. On one such occasion, Jesper decided to get an early start. He left the cave, berry basket in hand, and set out into the woods before the morning sun had even brushed against the tallest tree tops. It was colder in the mornings, but the headway dawn afforded meant Jasper could reach the furthermost berry patches without worrying of being chastised for tarrying upon his return. It took over 3 hours on foot to reach his destination, and along the way Jasper had passed by many familiar bush, all priorly pillaged so bereft of berries that one would have to dedicate several moments in earnest examination before finding a single one. Jasper was patient, but even patience has its limits. He was confident that even accounting for the time lost to this long stretch of travel, his efforts would be well worth the pains. Surveying the patches in the new grove surprised even Jasper. The red dots suspended among the leaves seemed as numerous as stars in the sky. Upon seeing such bounteous sight, he clutched his berry basket tightly and nearly toppled over out of joy. Once he had regained his senses, Jasper quickly made a decision. He would not reveal the location of this newfound treasure. Instead, he would earn the respect of his confederates who, upon seeing his yield, might attribute the success to hard work. Smiling at his plan, Jasper set off to fill his basket and was making steady strides in the task when the sound of thundering hooves interrupted him. A carriage. The carriage is approaching. The thought of it made Jasper freeze. Had he been so enchanted by his discovery that he had neglected to observe his surroundings? How could a roadway be so close? He ducked down and crept towards the impending sound, hiding behind one of the larger bushes nearby. It was only a moment before the sound source revealed itself. Within 50 paces of where Jasper hid, an elegant carriage with gold trim came soaring around a corner of trees, led by 2 beautiful white horses, and conveyed a stern-looking driver seated atop the vehicle. Flaunting the most sophisticated regalia Jasper had ever seen, it was not just any carriage, it was a royal carriage. Even without ever having witnessed such a sight before, Jasper was certain. The sight had so transfixed Jasper that he stood awestruck, unable to tear away the carriage as the carriage approached. The little concealment the bush provided was soon proven unequal to the driver's lofty perch, and upon spotting the boy, he pulled the reins with such effect that the noble steed slid to a sudden halt with precise control. "Boy, get out from behind that bush," he shouted, with a rigidity that betrayed a modest amount of fear. "You startled me half to death coming round the bend of my own drive, and me seeing such an unfamiliar face in a place where there ought to not be any face." Jasper quickly contemplated running. The man was much older, and his dress was suitable for courtly behaviour, not dashing through the bramble and mud. "I was picking berries," Jasper said, as he raised the half-filled basket up to allow the driver to see the proof of his words. The demeanour of the man suddenly changed. It was a change that Jasper was familiar with. He had many times seen the same stern expression on the most fiendish bandits melt away when presented with a berry basket. Any suspicion that the driver might have had instantly evaporated, but even the notion of the member of the unholy hounds picking berries seemed farcical. The softened expression even made allowances for a smile. "Berries, eh? Say, you couldn't have picked a better spot for them, could you? I used to pick berries here as a boy." Jasper took his cue to finally step forward out from behind the bush, proudly brandishing his basket. "I know, and what luck I found them. I've only just begun picking, and look how many I have. It would have taken me 4-fold the time back home to procure this number." The driver bent down for a closer look. "And where is your home, boy? It must be quite far." Jasper replied with a scripted response. "A little south of Tannafork, just past the burnt woods." "My God, that is far. You couldn't have come all that way only this morning." It was true, Tannafork was in the exact opposite direction that Jasper had travelled. And while that response would seem perfectly reasonable in a location closer to Blackbridge Canyon, he could see why it might seem less reliable here. Or believable. "Sir, I have travelled much further for much less profit. I dare say there is no distance yet made by man that would not be worth undertaking for a price such as these. Surely you have tasted them for yourself." Jasper felt happier with this response, as it seemed to amplify the man's smile. "In my youth, often, but perhaps I took it for granted because I never had to travel very far, and even then, my father would always drive us here in our carriage, so I'm ashamed to say I never had to walk such a stretch to earn an equal reward." It was Jasper's time to smile. "Then let my efforts reward us both today." He raised the basket even higher. "A taste in memory of your youth, sir." The driver chuckled and removed one glove, bending over the seat to reach down to the basket, and at the moment his fingers touched the first berry, the dagger in turn met his throat, cutting through a superficial layer of skin and drawing blood. Jasper caught the man's startled eyes. "And for that taste, I will have your purse, sir, in memory of my youth." The driver's arm had gone stiff, his chin raised and trembling, more frightened than he had ever been before, when either unable to incapable of speaking. He did not respond to the boy. Perhaps he did not think his jaw could afford to be engaged at this particular time. Jesper let the basket drop, freeing his other hand to probe the man's pockets. "Do not mistake me, sir. I will not kill you if you give me no cause. Though I will admit, the thought of taking your carriage and leaving you the indignity of walking appeals to me." Unable to find a purse in the man's coat, Jesper pivoted to search the seat under him. "Why have you no purse upon your person?" The driver slowly raised his hand cautiously, pointing towards the carriage door behind him. Jesper lowered the knife's edge a small degree to allow the man to speak, which he did in turn softly. "There's a lockbox in the carriage. Well, come down then and grant me the courtesy of sparing your life and binding your hands. A concession I assure you with my tender heart, but it would be much easier to slit your throat." The man started to comply, lowering himself from the driver's seat of the carriage. Once down, Jesper guided him away from the carriage to a nearby tree where he instructed him to get on his knees and put his hands behind his back. Excusing his inexperience, the man indulged Jesper while he figured out how to adequately bind him. The smile and kindness Jesper had seen on this man's face, now nothing more than a distant memory. In their place, cold, dark eyes displaying no emotion. "I wonder, should I grant you the same clemency you're showing me?" Jesper stopped, surprised by the question, but ignored it. Secured the final bindings, and then hastily returned to the carriage. With one hand on the door handle, he turned back to the man. "If there's no lockbox, there will be no clemency." Inside the carriage was surprisingly dusty and unswept, a stark contrast to the elegant and polished golden facade of the exterior. It had apparently been many years since a passenger had enjoyed the passage in this vehicle. This all but confirmed what Jesper had suspected. The driver of this carriage was not a liveried servant in the employ of some greater master. Any curiosity that this observation might have further produced was quickly abandoned upon seeing what rested under the carriage's back seat, a large wooden lockbox. Despite its hefty appearance, the box was surprisingly easy to handle. Within a few minutes, Jesper had dislodged it from its hold and carried it out into the sunlight, inspecting the box carefully. 2 observations were made. Totemic symbols found carved on all 4 sides of the box hinted the box was very old and not created by Orindian hands. It reminded him of artifacts from the old world and presumably crafted in one of the ancient realms. Secondly, the box was secured by a rusty yet robust padlock that would not open easily without a key. Jesper looked over to see the driver quietly observing from his indentured position. "Do you perhaps have a key you can provide me to open this box?" Without emotion, the driver replied, "There is no key to that box." Jesper stood up. "Easy enough then. Is this what we saw in the vision from, what's his name? Alcatraz. Aslan." There was a box in, like, the snow. Is that? I don't remember. He headed, the symbols are like, you can't really see them. That looks like little hands, though. He headed over to a nearby rock of sizable dimensions and lifted the stone up, carrying it back to the box. There was ever a time when that lock had been resistant to brute force. It wasn't recent. With one hit, the stone had completely shattered the rusted lock. He bent back down and opened the lid. Inside was an effigy, a crude figure chiseled from stone. Without too much deliberation, Jesper bent down and picked it up, somewhat surprised how heavy it seemed to be given how light the box had felt. Having expected to find something more akin to gold or gems, he looked questioningly to the man, hoping to find an explanation. The driver's smile had once again returned. "You accursed boy, for deadly is the stone. You have opened that which should never have been opened, and you are cursed." Jesper carried the effigy over to the man and shoved it in front of his face. "What is it?" "That's one." Feeling his disappointment rising to anger, Jesper tightened his grip on the effigy. "One what, you mumbling agitator? And in God's name, why have you no purse upon your person?" The man did not seem intimidated. "1 pace." He paused to reflect. 12 more and you will be dead." He only had a second to flinch before the effigy struck him in the head and put an end to his cryptic ramblings. There was ever a time when that old man had been resistant to brute force. It wasn't recent. Jesper looked down at the sculpted stone figure, now splattered red. Was it cursed? Was he cursed? He had of course heard stories of curses, and had never doubted the validity in the past. But now that he was standing face to face with the possibility, his mind pleaded with him to be skeptical. And if he was cursed, what difference would the knowledge make? A dozen more paces would not be enough to find another living soul. to say nothing of the chance of procuring a remedy. If he did not move from where he was now stood, he could live maybe another 3 or 4 days, maybe more given the abundance of nearby berries, a plan that, if we ignore its obvious faults, might prove additional opportunities for help to come along. But what good would that do? To be discovered here, beside a body, stolen good in hand, bloated from berries and raving about a curse that could very well not be real. No, it would most certainly be better to face one's fate now, take a dozen paces, and see if life goes on. But Jesper found his legs unable to make that first step. His mind was unable to convince his limbs to waste away 1/12 of his life in a single motion. Feeling the desperation sink in, he hopelessly looked around him for a solution, and if by some stroke of luck the gods had heard his plea, a miracle materialized before him as if he found himself suddenly at the end of a fairy tale. 2 white horses and a carriage of golden trim were beside him, the answer to his immediate prayers. He laughed at his fortune and calculated the short number of paces back to the road. 4. Perhaps only 3 if he jumped. He made a quick survey to see if there was anything he wished to grab before taking the plunge. He thought about removing the driver's fancy coat, as that appeared to be of some value, but the additional risk of undertaking such a task too great to chance. And so, after a profound breath, he took his 2nd, 3rd, and 4th steps, though they were quite large. Seated now behind the horses, he reached for the reins, and suddenly realized he was still gripping the effigy. If the curse was real, then it would most certainly be better left here. If, on the other hand, the story was fictitious, there might be some appraisal that could be made of the figure. It was, after all, found within a lockbox, whose typical function oft secures objects of value. Having witnessed firsthand the horrors of destitution, Jesper found his mind equally reluctant to allow his hand to let go. If it is cursed, I die. If not today, then tomorrow. And if I die, what care have I? And with that statement said aloud, to the horses, seemingly, Jesper took up on the reins with confidence. Oh, okay, so it's a little bit of a cycle maybe, the man in the carriage. Part 2, below the black bridge. Miller awoke to some light nudging from the familiar foot. Only one person would have the cheek to awaken her in such ill-mannered fashion. Shaking the sleep from her eyes, she glared up at him in the darkness, but did not say a word. He nudged her again, teasingly, then stepped back into the dim. After taking a moment for her eyes to adjust to the darkness of the cavern, Miller remembered. She was on 3rd watch today. Quietly collecting her things and wits, Miller turned as she left, waving to her young friend, who was more than likely already asleep. She crept through the cavern's main passage, careful not to wake the sleeping bandits around her. Like a hero in a book, she often mused. Quietly, she grabbed a bow from the haphazardly formed pile of weapons, shaking the accompanying quiver in the darkness to assess how many arrows it held. She then walked towards the sun-drenched mouth of the cavern, ready to start her shift. Above her, one of the few trees found in the canyon, Miller could see that Ravia was already posted. She waved, and Ravia waved back. Calling out to each other was strictly forbidden. Anything louder than a gesture in the canyon was forbidden. When Miller reached the tree, Ravia lowered a braided rope and pointed to the ground behind her. Miller turned, following the finger, and saw a pail of water resting beside a nearby log. She turned back, nodded, and secured the pail to the rope. The pail went up first, and in turn, Miller followed. Ravia reached across to grab the water. Miller leaned back to give her space. There was not much room for manoeuvring this tree post, a necessary concession for the concealment the outpost demanded. Ravia tilted the pail up to her mouth dramatically, illustrating how thirsty she had been. Miller laughed silently as water poured out, splashing onto Ravia's face. It was a bit too daring and noisy of a joke, and had the others been around, they would have certainly been scolded for the unwarranted sound. But Miller appreciated the efforts Ravia took to verbalize the silence of the morning. They had been on 3rd watch together for over a month, and during this speechless time, their friendship had grown into something special. Affection was unsurprisingly scarce amongst the unholy hounds. She had felt camaraderie before, of course, but intimacy never. From their elevated vantage, the girls could see both the concealment entrance of the cavern, as well as a clear view of the bridge that spanned across the canyon. Black Bridge was the link between the Gentry lands and the northern mountains, the overpass that connected Orris and Reddington. To the city-faring travellers of the realm, the bridge was an unavoidable crossing. In the day, the task was to ensure that travellers passed by without stopping. At night, the task was to ensure that they do. Like most of her band, Miller preferred the night. The biting glare of the sun might be tolerable to farmhands and bricklayers, but the cavern housed bandits. It was a source of constant annoyance. In the day, there was no shroud of concealment in her expressions, nor to hide her thoughts. She felt exposed. Ravia touched her elbow and pointed up. Miller, striving to suppress a budding smile, subtly shook her head in response. There were many signs that the unholy hounds used in lieu of words, but the two of them had developed quite an extended vocabulary. Gestures quietly forged in the shared solitude of their month among the branches. She watched as Ravia shifted, placing her palms flat on the floorboards beneath them. Miller knew what she was trying to say, but shook her head a second time. It was often more fun to pretend not to understand. Ravia rolled her eyes and turned away, looking back to the canyon, squinting through the leaves. The two girls held still, watching and listening. It was not long until Miller, too, heard the sounds of approach. Ravia held up two bent fingers, and in a few moments 2 men emerged from the bridge's southern end. They were dressed in familiar uniform, a long grey coat with black facings, a white waistcoat, and the black tricone hats. They belonged to the local patrol, the Black Guard. And though not an everyday occurrence, their presence at Black Bridge was an unusual sight, and typically indicated an important traveller impending passage across the bridge, information that the girls would promptly relay to their leaders as soon as the coast was clear. But this report, while exciting, was rarely acted upon. Miller's 5 years in the Unholy Hounds, she had never once seen a carriage taken in open daylight when the Black Guard was nearby. The men had nearly reached the bridge's north end when Miller heard the horses, faintly at first, but growing louder with each passing moment. Ravia's eyes met Miller's, the same concern mirrored in each other's expression. This did not sound like a typical carriage, cautiously approaching the bridge to cross. Instead of the familiar crunch of the high-road's gravel, they heard the harsh clattering of hoofbeats against stone. Both girls quickly redirected their attention downwards, looking towards the foliage. The sounds were not coming from the high road, but the canyon below. The horses were coming from below the bridge. In an instant, Miller had knocked an arrow in her drawn bow. Go! Ravia was gone before the whisper had even left Miller's mouth. The young scout was already sliding down the bank below, racing towards the cave. There was no road that ran below the canyon. There was no reason for numerous horses to be approaching the cave. There was only one reasonable conclusion, and both the girls had reached it instantly. The base had been compromised. This was an attack. The moment the horses came into view, Miller let loose her first arrow. She was surprised to see a carriage. She had expected cavalry, but before she even finished processing that thought, her second arrow was in the air. Without a trail, it would be unthinkable for a carriage to traverse such rough terrain. Yet she watched as the wheels jolted over the rocky riverbed. A third arrow, now in flight, and there would be no need for a fourth. The driver slumped over just moments before the vehicle dipped into a small ditch, slamming into an embankment. The force of this sudden halt immediately shattered the two front wheels and catapulted the driver from his seat. Utterly confused now, Miller quickly glanced over her shoulder to see if any horses were also approaching from the rear. Down in the canyon, the entire horde of unholy hounds came spilling forth from the earth as if hell itself had suddenly sprung open. The group seemed even more bewildered than Miller, half asleep and tripping over one another in a desperate attempt to engage in an unseen enemy in combat. Miller could see Ravia among their number, the only one looking up at her. Her expression was chilling. There would be no need for a silent gesture to convey what they both now realized. They had made a mistake. The gang's chieftain, Joffrey Heartslasher, led the others cautiously, approaching the crashed carriage like a suspicious fox would near a baited trap. There were no words exchanged as the group crept forward in customary silence. A dozen or so paces in front of the wreckage lay the far-flung driver, an arrow protruding from his broken body, and beside him, a blood-stained effigy carved from stone. Miller was inconsolable. Jesper had always been her favourite. He had always shadowed her in the night, clinging to the hems of her every move, the way a child tails behind an older sibling. Tender-hearted, she had always called him, though deep down she had known that wasn't quite true. His appearance of gentleness concealed a raw, resilient durability that emerged in the most perilous of situations. He had been a flower among the nettles of this cave, but he still had thorns, honed by a grim past and 100 hands of misfortune. They buried him in the darkness, in the back of one of the large cavern rooms. He was interred with a berry basket and a silk handkerchief that he had treasured. The mysterious effigy they had found beside him served as a distinguished gravestone, a marker that stood out as somewhat special among the rows of similar swords, marking neighbouring plots. No one spoke, not even in whispers. There was nothing to say. Miller awoke the next day to a thunderous shaking and a rattling of the earth. in a far cry from the playful nudging of the previous day. She strained to adjust her eyes, but the choking sting of stirred-up dust caused her to flinch. Panic was also in the air. The sound of scurried footsteps and clattering feet filled the space around her, but even in alarm the silence was louder. What was it that sounded so strange? Miller closed her eyes tight and used her feet to guide her along the passage. The whispers around her were getting louder, and intense voices could be heard ahead, louder speech than she had ever spoken in the canyon. A growing dread grew as Miller approached the mouth of the cave, her eyes now open wide despite the dust. Shouldn't it be day? Miller felt a hand in the darkness, pulling at her. It was Ravia. The two embraced, and Miller did not need to see her to understand. Ravia placed two bent fingers against Miller's cheek, and with that touch against her face, Miller felt the same sinking feeling from the previous day. Two bent fingers confirmed what Miller had suspected. The girls had forgotten to relay one critical piece of information to the others. An hour or so later, the screams began. Blood-curdling cries of hopeless desperation. Captain Fodrick Lee of the Blackguard looked down from the ridge of the canyon to the collapsed entrance of the cave. Ah, he grinned. Now they speak. Jeez. Okay. Bit devastating, that. Interesting. Very interesting story. That's where we are. That cavern is beneath us. Somewhere. There is the bridge when we go outside. When we look outside over the towards where the elevator is, there is a bridge over there. Is that the Black Bridge? God, that was a bit sad. Okay, well, we've done all the books now. Our only other thing is getting back to the antechamber and finally going in room 46. That's all I have to do. I just have to get a good run in. I've been doing my runs, okay, and trying to get to the antechamber, and I just did the puzzle and I've just got this. A logical trophy for winning 40 parlor games. Oh my god, I got an achievement. I wish I was playing this game on Steam. Oh my god, guys. I'm a genius. I'm on day 72 right now. Still not made it to the antechamber. Let's see how long it takes. We got drafting room, so maybe I get my casino. No. I hate this game. It's so annoying. It's so annoying! I'll do the dormitory. And mess this up. Oh, I'm going in there. I'm going in there. I don't care. There's new stuff. There's a new book. Oh, it's Drafting Strategy Volume 2. I don't care about this. If furnace is drafted within a few ranks of freezer, then the temperature will rise and everything will melt, including your assets. If the temperature gets too high... That's how I knew it! I knew the freezer and the furnace was how you can read those pieces of paper in there. Oh my god. Or a sauna. Will thaw any gems, and you will once again be able to use them. However, if you still wish to use your accounts, you'll have to refreeze your... Oh, you could go back... Oh, is it only your accounts and not actually the stuff? Huh. Okay, whatever. Well, that's not very useful. Hall pass? You will not lose travelling between two hallways. Hallways drafted from adjoining hallways do not cost... I have never seen that item before. The hall pass. I guess it's only ever in here, right? Because it's like a school thing. Is that it? That's all that's in here? Okay, well. Not very useful. We can do that one room off the dark room. Off the dark room, we have one shot at getting, I don't know, well, we can't even get locksmiths because it costs. Middle. It's gonna be furnace. I knew it! It's always furnace. It's always furnace. I'm on day 80. I don't think this run is going to be very successful, but I got Vault Key, so I'm taking this so that we can open that up at least. And I'll get 5 billion coins for no reason. These are so useless to me now. What key number is it? 304. 207. 3. I'm excited. Oh, an upgrade disc! Oh my god! 3 gems. Upgrade disc. And what is that? I haven't had an upgrade disc in so long. Passport. Feneras! Write that down, write that down. Fen is the only one I've got. Why is Fen the only one we keep seeing? J. Ribbon. Oh, Jean Ribbon. Parisian. 1956. Female. Passport. Who the bloody hell is this? Jean Ribbon. I was so excited that was going to be something new. And this is that same swirly whirly symbol we saw before. Benares. I thought I was going to get a new thing to write down. Oh. I've just found another vault key. 233. Wait, safety deposit box? Oh yeah, no, it is the same thing. Should I go back to the vault? Do you think there's going to be a different passport? Hold up. How do I get there? This is all worth it. This is all worth it. 233. Hello? 223? 233? 233. Let me in. Loads of money. How much was that? 50 quid. Oh my god, 2 more at the start of every day. And then a new passport. Oh, it's Fenares again, isn't it? Compromised. Daniela Gray. Is this Marion? Mary? What's her name? That's the same picture, no? Daniela Gray, compromised. Yeah, that's her. She's making fake passports. What's she doing that for? Compromised. I wonder how many of these you can open. How many passports are there? I've been playing this game so much. I've gotten the trophy for now for this. And the secret garden key. This might be the rum. It could be it. It could be it. This might be the one. Please. Oh my god. Do I redraw? I think I redraw. Fuck. I've got drafting studio. We might be able to get a casino. Oh, casino! Get it in! Get it in! Hell yes. This has all been worth it. This stupid bloody game has been annoying me so much. But I got my casino and that's all that matters. That's all that matters. I'm also trying to do a little Hall of Mirrors thing here. And I'm going to have every single doorway in Hall of Mirrors opened. Wait. Is this going to mess this up? If I just pick this, will it not open straight to Hall of Mirrors? Okay, view. I have all 4 doorways open. What happens if I click all the buttons? What actually goes down? How do I... Oh, I can just do the one in the middle. Ah! What the hell? What happens up here? What? 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 And what's the point in this? What? Oh. Hallway closet? Would you like to permanently add? What? I've already got that. Huh. That feels bogus. And I can go in this one as well. What's in here? I've already got a spare bedroom. What? What's going on, guys? I want to go in those ones too. Can I go in here? I can. Just one singular key. Okay, cool. This is so weird. Why can't I go in that one? Have I not been down? This is so strange. So I've made it to the study on this run. And obviously we need to go in the safe. And I've looked around at everything in here. None of this is useful. These letters don't have any dates on them. These are just to do with the paintings and the painting thing. So I think it must be to do with the chess piece. Because you can't click on anything else. And there's nothing here that's like a date. That's to do with the finding out 8 dates, crack 8 safes thing. So I'm going with, although it is 8th of December, 8th of the 12th, because A, B, C, D, oh, it is the right order of letters. I'm stupid. Oh. But the only other reason I could think that is that this is then the Queen room in the chess piece puzzle downstairs. But I'm gonna go ahead and say it's the December 8th. Because I don't know what else it would be. Huge. You bloody mungus. Okay, let's read this letter. Let me add it. Letter number 2. December 8th. H. Be prepared for our plans to be set in motion in a month or two. It's all lining up and all of our hard work is about to come to fruition. I have just learned that several members of the museum's guard are sympathetic to our cause. We suspect 2 more to be opportunists whose loyalty extends only to their coin purse. Your uncle has already agreed to let us use Holly's flexible floor plan for a trial run. Assuming the red print we have secured of the museum's closed exhibit is in fact accurate and up to date. Ooh! Do you think you can find that floor plan? Wait, that's crazy. We should begin these trials without delay once you arrive. If you can, within the next 2 months, fabricate some fiction that might alleviate us of the presence of the servant staff until we meet on the shore of the White Sands, Caleb. If you can fabricate fiction that might alleviate us of the presence of the servant staff. They got rid of the staff when the wife died, when her ladyship died. Right? That was when all the staff left, because he was like, I'm grieving, or whatever. And then when he died, all the staff also... Is that what happened? Is that what happened? The staff left when her ladyship died, right? Or no, it was they weren't allowed to the west side of the building. But maybe that is it. Maybe if you get this red print, it's on the west side. It only works on the west side. And that's why they weren't allowed to go over there. He said it was because he was grieving. But it was actually because they were doing this heist trial run. Maybe. Anyway, this is the end of this run. I'm on day bloody 98. I think this is going to be the setup. I think this is the setup, okay? I'm not even gonna risk clicking on that and it being dead ends. We have a gem. We just need a straightforward. We just need a straightforward security. Oh my god. I can't explain to you. What right? This is day 100. This is day 100. I want to see when the last time I clicked on this was. Okay. Oh my god. We have to go. Open the moon door. We've connected up to the hallway. How many steps do I have? I've got 30 fucking steps. Okay. Give me steps. Give me steps. Gives me key. Okay, cool. Great. 30 steps is still enough, right? I only need to go down to foundation. Oh my god. The stress of this has been insane. I cannot explain. I have just been having the worst attempts of my life. I have gotten close like 5 million times, it's felt like. And it's just been nothing over and over again. But finally I can go down here. This is gonna be the thing when I go down here now, and it's gonna like, the door is gonna be closed, or I'm gonna have the cart in the way, or something's gonna make it so I can't get to that door. I just know it. I just know it in my heart. Oh my god. Okay, 20 steps. It was this way, wasn't it? Or, oh, I can loop round, can't I? That doesn't lose me a step, does it? No. Okay, good. Stress. Up here. Oh. Oh, I can go from there. Okay. Oh my god. Oh, this is just awful. Let me out. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Day 100 is so embarrassing. And I'm sure I could have played smarter runs. I was like getting frustrated, so I was like ending days when I wasn't getting what I wanted, and like the amount of times I got to the end and I didn't have a key, or I didn't have enough gems to buy the doorway that would go into the you know, if I'd opened Great Hall or if I'd opened whichever one. Thank God. Oh my God. I wonder what's gonna be in here. My guess is the jewels, right? From the heist. That's what I'd presume. We still need to figure out the sanctum stuff afterwards, but that's for after. That's for after this. Let me just get to room 46. That's all that matters with my 19 steps left. I can't believe it. I can't believe how unlucky I've been, honestly. But also, thank God. Right, let me back up. 18 steps. That's enough, isn't it? I'm so happy. I've been crashing out. I've been crashing out over this game. Like, you don't understand. Day 100 is stupid. People do it within like 60 days, I think is what I've seen. Day 1, bloody 100. You go up. I'd love to find like a banana on the floor or something. It's not spread the fruit where I want it to spread it. But that's fine. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Okay. Imagine if it needed gems to open. I'd scream.
There was once a red prince who sat on a red throne. He had a red crown made of rubies and a red castle made of stone. The prince had a love for all things red. It's the only true color, the prince often said. He could not stand the sight of a canary or a crow. He could not stand the white of a swan in the snow. And he never looked up for fear of the view. He had heard that the sky was not a red hue. He didn't see the birds or the changing of the leaves. And he never saw the sights of life's many symphonies. He couldn't see beyond the red shade he was aware. He never caught a glimpse of the world I had to share. But one day the prince saw something new.
This is the political ending, I guess.
And if you look closely, you might see it too.
Okay, but
The skies parted and the clouds withdrew.
oh, show me what's in there.
Prince had a new favorite
It was
color,
blue.
the color
Ah, it's the crown. I told you it was the crown. Oh my gosh. Okay. Tonda, bloody Tonda. What the heck? I think I got confused through the story because of like, my dad is called Simon and I'm Simon, but Marion is my mum, and I got lost in the family tree and who's who and like, but I am the prince. That's crazy. I mean, so we know they're all part of the heist, but like, what was going? Okay, what's going on with the train station underneath? The cursed box that I swear the cursed box was what bloody Aslan, what's his name, showed us in the this music's a bit loud. Showed us in the vision in the snow. Was that not the box, or was that a tomb or something? Where is Marion? Marion, whatever. What? What was happening with the thing of getting the servants out with the ladyship? What happened there? I mean, there's definitely more story I can find. How many letters did I even find? 4? And there's 8, right? I only found 4 of them. I mean, the game was amazing. The game is incredible. I had so much fun, even though I was getting so angry the past couple of days because it was just like impossible. For Christopher Manson, who opened many doors for me. Aww, love that. There's so many things. I mean, we have the whole sanctum still to understand. And then there's 4 more letters I need to look for. And the chess puzzle. Whatever's going on down there. Your new home. Mount Holly, your new home. At least I got a pool in there. Oh my god. Day 100. Day 100! That's insane. Oh my god. But I think I'm definitely going to have to... The next day. What's that? A little trophy for me? Yes, it is. Open only in the event of inheritance. Dear Baron. Oh, I'm Baron? Oh no, I'm the new Baron. I see. I was like, what? I thought my name was Simon. I'm even more confused now. But I'm the new Baron. Welcome to Mount Holly, your home. I still remember the first time I was addressed by my title. I was quite a bit older than you, but it still felt strange, especially after a lifetime of hearing my father addressed daily by the same title. But life is a journey of growth. Growing up, growing older, growing wiser, and in our case, growing into the Baron of Reddington. The Baron doesn't have to be a daunting figure. He could be quiet and unassuming, or loud, brash and boisterous. He could be... deceptive. He could be deceptive or trustworthy, humble or boastful, or any measure of other things, but always clever. When I inherited Mount Holly, I never had to prove myself. They just gave me the keys and left it at that. It felt too easy, too trivial, and very undeserved. Experience comes with time, but without validation, I spent the better part of my youth questioning myself. And as I grew older, that lack of conviction and aimlessness amplified. I never really had any goals or objectives to strive towards. I never had any dreams to realise. I never set my sights on something beyond the horizon. I never had a room 46 to reach. Now that you have reached your goal and are basking in your well-deserved glory, shiny trophy in hand and showered with accolades and titles, will you be content to stop there? Or will you look to the horizon and wonder what dreams lie ahead? Ovin Navari. Herbert S. Sinclair. Get me off this letter. Let me have my trophy. I did it! Oh my god, I did it. 4 letters I found. I have to find the other ones. And there are 8 inherency, not inherency, what? Sanctum keys. Where on earth are those? Mind-boggling. I'm not gonna lie, I might do a cheeky Google. I might do a little cheeky Google to find out, like, I'm not gonna completely spoil it for myself of what's in there, but like, where do you find those keys? Because the safes all have the letters in. Unless it's like, I don't know. Have I even been in every room? I'm missing a blue room. 2 blue rooms. Room 46. Is that not the solarium? I've still never been in my casino. I want to go in my casino so bad. I'm gonna do it. Oh yeah, these are my additions, but I've never been in either of them. Found, outer rooms, exit. Okay. Let's try and do the other stuff. Let's try and figure out those other bits. It's a little later in the day. I did a teeny weeny Google, and apparently the info for the sanctum keys, we have to get back to room 46. So I might die in that process. It might never happen. But also I saw 2 of the letters are apparently, one's in the, not study, maybe the study, and one is in the drawing room. I didn't see where the other 2 are, but we can try and get study and drawing room. I think it's study. It's the one with where you draw the floor plans. Gift shop. What's this? Oh my god. Wait, what is this? A permanent addition to walk-in closet. A little t-shirt, a lunchbox goes in the dining room. Swim trunks in the pool. Okay. Digiblocks coming soon. You can get the arcade machine to work. Wait. Oh wait. Do you think Digiblock thing? You know those square things we play with the blocks on it? Is that like you have to do all of those and then you get that or something? Swimbird. Unlock dare mode. 110 coins. Blue 10s can be purchased after you've proven your merit as a scout. Obtain 8 trophies. Cursed coffers in the shrine. Oh my god, what? Wait, it's the cursed one. Oh my god. Me wondering if that's part of the story. They've just put it in the gift shop for 13 quid. I want to get that. I want it. Oh my god, there's little postcards. That's so cute. Greetings from Reddington. The observatory, wish you were here. This is so cute. Merry Christmas. I give up, I'm stumped. This is so good. Wait, why couldn't you buy the red prints? Oh my god, this is so funny. I'm gonna have to try and find the vault so I can get loads of coins. What the heck? This is unfair. I love that. I've gathered 30 squid. Let me buy some stuff. Let me get something. I want to get the cursed coffer. And then what do I have? £20 left. 110 is crazy. I want to know what dare mode is though. How do you get that much money? Let's do the t-shirt. I don't have enough. Okay. How do you get that much money? That's crazy. Maybe you have to do a run. You have to get vault. Also get tomb. And then do loads of dead ends. I don't know. That's insane. Okay. Well, this run we didn't find either of the rooms I knew I needed for the. Should I Google where all the letters are? Is that cheating? Where are the other 2? That's only 6 that I have.